Podcast time, man. Yeah.
Yay.
It's been a long time since I've started out anything that we've done with the Woo. It's a kind of call-in show from back in the old days. I wonder if that's copyrighted, if I'm going to have to pay somebody for my Woo now. My Woo is owned by other companies that are not me. It's funny. I had to fill out this form today, Kevin, where for a tax. It was like for a tax thing for some potential merchandising stuff, and they asked what my title was in Rage Select, and I was like, I thought for a minute, and I was like, it's probably CEO, but that seems really presumptuous of me, the guy who turned his spare room into this recording studio. I mean, like, yes, I am the Chief Executive Officer of Rage Select Incorporated, LLC, TMZ, whatever. Yeah, so.
Editor-in-Chief.
I put director. I thought that sounded good. Like, okay. Say, go over there, do that, but. Well, speaking of Rage Select, welcome everybody to the Rage Select podcast. I'm Jeff, and I have Kevin with me here again. Kevin,
hello.
You just got back from the casino.
Yes. Well, I just run up there and get free gifts and things when they have them for me.
Okay. Well, all right. You got to tell me. Okay, first of all, I've been to Ohio. I didn't really even know there were any casinos in Ohio.
Well, they created them recently. Constitutionally, they had to say specifically that they were only allowed to have one in each of the major cities. So there's only 4. And the reason they do that is because most of Ohio is Indian land, essentially. And if they say everybody can have a casino, then all the Indians would put in a bunch of casinos tax-free, and it would be a disaster.
Okay.
So they very specifically said only one per. So
it's Cleveland, Cincinnati, what other
Toledo, and Columbus.
Oh, okay. Is Columbus really considered like one of the big major cities in Ohio?
Yeah, it is now, I guess. I mean,
okay.
I don't know what else is there, really. Dayton, Youngstown's kind of dead. Yeah, so anyway, it's owned by Dan Gilbert. He owns Quicken Loans. He also owns the Cavs, and he owns the Monsters, which is our AHL hockey team. He basically, that guy's actually situated in Detroit, and there's no way he'll ever be able to buy a Detroit sports team.
He should turn all of Detroit into just one casino. You take downtown Detroit and make downtown Detroit into just one big indoor casino. It would be like the biggest public works / I don't know. You probably have to fly people there like for free just to be able to make back the investment, but I still think it would be cool.
It's still Detroit, though. Yeah. In actuality, the Cleveland, he's got it all like connected. Like the actual casino itself is not actually built yet.
Mm-hmm.
They put it in the old Higbee's building, which is next to the sports arena. And but anyway, when the casino's done, you will never have to set foot in Cleveland. Basically, you could land at the airport, take the Rapid down to the bottom of the terminal tower, which is a big building that's downtown. That puts you basically inside like a mall. Then you could walk the mall to the arena to watch your sporting event, take a platform over to the casino if you want, and or go to the convention center that they just built. So you never have to step outside and be exhausted.
That sounds like paradise. You don't ever have to go outside ever again. I've been waiting for somebody to build. If Taco Bell would build a freaking air conditioned walkway from my door to the nearest Taco Bell, I'd probably just one of those moving sidewalks like they have in the airport. I say put everything inside. Of course, I live. It's 100 bajillion degrees outside, so it's all sweaty and horrible and shit. But yeah. Yeah, put it all inside. That's what I say. Fuck it. Like, I don't know. I feel bad sometimes because I know there are people in this world who live in, like, California or, when I lived in Seattle, or not, Seattle isn't even, they have inclement weather there, but people who live in places where it's like, it's real nice outside during the summer and the winters are totally mild. I'm just like, hey, fuck you guys. You don't have to put up with shit. You don't put up with a hot summer or a bad winter. You just get to, be like, oh, it's sunny. It's wonderful outside. Blah, 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 blah.
It's very mild. Yeah, I agree.
I was watching Breaking Bad last night, and like everybody on that show seems to be wearing long sleeve jackets all the time. I'm just like, it's Arizona, man. Aren't you guys dying there?
Or New Mexico. New Mexico.
New Mexico. Yeah.
Even worse, really. Yeah.
Seriously.
Hell.
Which always, anytime that I ever see any kind of TV show and it's sunny outside, it's weird because I live in Texas. Is anytime I ever see a TV show where the sun is out, it's like the middle of the afternoon, and there's people outside, and they're wearing like business suits, they're wearing like light jackets or long sleeve shirts or whatever. I'm just like, what are you doing? You're gonna die, man. It's so hot outside when the sun is up because I'm from here. But wait, you went to the casino to go get free stuff? What was?
Yeah, I mean, they like every week they give away a prize, and well, not the giveaway. It's like they give you something. Like last week, I got a crazy. It's the weirdest stuff, man. Like last year, I got
like chickens or what? What are you talking
about?
No,
like a spiral cake maker.
What?
Like it's like a press type of thing.
All right, what is spiral cake? Are you talking about? Like a?
It looks like it kind of looks like a
cinnamon roll. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, and it's like a big thing. And then this coming Friday, they're giving away a pizza maker. And you just walk in, you swipe your card, you take it, and you go home. Basically.
Wait, like everybody gets a pizza, like fucking Oprah Winfrey? Like you just walk into the casino and they're like, "Here, have a pizza maker." Like
you gotta be part of their old Total Rewards thing, which is like their gambling club, and you gotta basically gamble for about 30 minutes. There's no like dollar amount, but you gotta do that so you get free parking. Otherwise, you gotta pay crazy amounts of money for parking.
So what do you do, like penny slots for 30 minutes or whatever?
Yeah, totally, yeah. And then you can just
send some big guy to like stand over you to make sure that you're gambling the entire time. You're not just pretending.
Pay for that. Yeah, but then they send me all these things in the mail. Like, today I got like $75 in free slot play, and I got 2,000 reward credits, which is like basically $20 that you can spend like for a free buffet. And so to me, it's just insanity not to go. Well, yeah, I mean, I just work all the angles. So.
It sounds like you live in a town. I mean, like when I went to Las Vegas, it was always that thing where they give you free booze, and the hotels comparatively for what you're getting, for what you're paying, are pretty cheap, and there's all this stuff that you get comped all the time, but it's all to keep you from gambling. And so to me, it's always been like the trick is just don't gamble. Like, if you could go to Las Vegas, you go see Penn and Teller, and, you go to the seafood buffet at the Rio, which I went to and I loved, all this stuff, without gambling your entire life away in the course of like 4 hours, it's great. It's like an amusement park where you get to live like a rich person. It sounds like here that they're so desperate to get people in that they're just sending you essentially credit for whatever at the casino just for free.
Yeah, you gotta like if you spend a certain amount of money, you get more benefits. Like so, I do spend some money when I go. My sister-in-law, for instance, does not, so she gets a lot less. She'll get like $20 in free play, and she won't get a pizza maker.
Oh.
So it depends. But then, like the one time I went, they gave me a frying pan, and it was like one of those special green non-stick ones you see on TV.
Yeah.
And then other people, I guess, that spend a lot more money were walking out with those Roomba vacuum cleaners.
Oh, those things are like, I was like $200 or $300, right?
I know, right? Yeah. And I was like, how do I get in that club? That sucks that I got a fucking frying pan and they got a Roomba. But yeah, so whatever. I mean, it's actually really nice down there. And
Kevin,
like
I'm 90% sure that this story is bullshit. You were actually there casing the joint with like 10 other guys, right? You're gonna pull the big Andy Garcia like heist on him. I could see you walking up with a bunch of other, George Clooney and fucking Matt Damon, and you're gonna pull one over in the casino, right?
I do like to play some of the video game theme slot machines like Shinobi and stuff, because I just feel like,
they got Shinobi slot machines?
Yeah, like I kind of am playing a video game, but not really. Yeah, they have a whole bunch of different ones that are themed after video games and movies, of course.
Did they like find them in like a warehouse full of shit from the 80s that nobody knows about anymore? Nobody knows about Shinobi anymore.
I know, that's what I was saying. It was crazy. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, they're there, so I just play. Whatever.
Well, that sounds way better than what I did today. I spent the day because I am a lazy person, and I've been trying to be real careful over the last few months with the money that we got from the Barmageddon, because it's like we're finally getting to a point where we're getting paid a little bit and we can start being a little bit more flexible. But one thing that I've been, I like being able to log into my bank account and see that money there. It's very, it makes me feel very secure.
Reassuring.
Yeah. You're just like, hey, if the shit goes down, at least we can pay ourselves out this and we can continue, that money, that number keeps going down further and further. But one of the things that I hadn't done yet was I hadn't pre-ordered a PlayStation for an Xbox One.
Say it isn't so.
So today I went out, well, because, the thing is that I've never had to before. The only console launch that I've ever been, that I was doing this when it happened was the Wii U, which was not hard to get, the 3DS, which was not hard to get, and both of those were paid for by somebody else. Right. And then I bought a Vita out of my own pocket, but that was just like, no, it's a Vita. You just go in and you buy it. Like all of those systems, none of them have been like in demand. But you look around, man. I hope that you folks out there who are going to want a PlayStation 4, I hope you've already got an order in, because that shit's like gone almost everywhere.
It's not going to be, even if you don't want one, if you can get one, you probably should try to get one, because you're going to make some money selling it on eBay.
No, I saw that. I even saw people online, like when I did a search on the Google, like just the Google shopping channel or whatever on Google, like people who had listed PlayStation 4s for like $800, and it was obvious that they had already pre-ordered a bunch of them, and then they had set up to essentially resell them at a profit, and they were taking pre-orders for their resale. So it's like you don't even have to wait for eBay. It's just somebody had set up some kind of crazy shop page where they did this to get this thing. Now, I don't know, man. Like, I feel really bad about this, but I ordered one. I finally found one. I finally found a place that was like, yes, we will ship you one when they come out. And it was off the Fry's website. Which, I think this is going to be one of those things like whenever I talk about GameStop, and people always get up in arms about, my GameStop is fine or whatever, but there's a Fry's here in Austin. I fucking hate that place. Like, every time I go in there to buy a thing, like a game or a Blu-ray or something that's just come out, and I go in there and I look for it, they're always just like, well, we don't have that. It just came out. And I'm like, you're right. It just came out. Where is it? They're just like, no, we can order it for you and call it when it comes in. I'm like, bitch, I can buy that shit off Amazon and get free Super Saver shipping if I wanted to buy it. I wanted to get it in my hot little hands and take it home right now. So I don't know, man. Hopefully that it won't be the sort of thing where they're lying to me on their website, and when November 15th comes around, they'll just be like, oh, the shipping has been delayed for 6 months, and your new estimated ship date is February of 2015. And be like, wonderful. That's fantastic.
Here, I got a crazy game console thing that I'll spin right off for you, because this is even crazier.
Okay.
I on eBay, I have basically all of these save searches, and it alerts me to like when certain consoles appear on there that I'm looking for my ridiculous game console collection.
Right.
And a lot of times I get a message, and it's a stupid Game Fan magazine that somebody's selling that mentions the game system in it, and they're like, damn it! But one finally appeared. I can't tell you which one it is, because I don't want all the listeners to go on and bid it up.
But I do that, Kevin.
I bid over $1,000 for it.
What?
And I think I probably won't get it. I think somebody else will get it.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Prototype, never released, fairly famous at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Big deal. Actually, I think there's actually ISO images of certain things you can actually run on it. But yeah.
I was amazed when I was up there. You were showing me that stuff, and you were like, here's this console that I have. And I was like, all right, well, what games do you have? And you pulled out like this CD binder that was nothing but demo discs. And I was like, well, what actual games do you have, Kevin? And you were like, this is what I have. And I was like, oh.
I don't collect games, because games you can get emulators for and play them endlessly. So I have no real attraction to games. I'd like to have something that allows the system to run. So I usually have one for every system at least. But yeah, I generally don't collect games. I mean, there was a time I did, but I don't know. I just think that that's a losing battle, because I think they're too easy to clone. A lot of those cartridges, for instance, are just EEPROMs. Somebody could make a fake one really easily, print out a label, slap it on there, charge you $500 for something that, you could just download off the net and build yourself. So yeah, I don't buy games.
Yeah. That's probably smart. But yeah, and then of course today I got that PlayStation 4, and then I went out looking for the Xbox One, and they were just like, oh yeah, you could totally get an Xbox One.
I have heard though that those are really like in high demand as well. I mean, I read online that they are expecting to like move over 2 million of them at launch.
It seems like, I mean, like, it's weird because I don't really remember the Xbox 360 launch. Like, I remember when the Wii launched, because the Xbox 360, I was so dismissive back in those old days about the Xbox, the original Xbox and the 360,
yeah, sure.
that I just didn't give a shit. So I didn't watch it. It wasn't on my radar at all. And then I remember the PlayStation 3 came out, and everybody was like, ooh, it's going to be big. It's going to be huge, you know? And then it came out and I was like, yeah, you can find this shit wherever. But the only one that I've seen that was like that.
So crazily expensive, though. It was like $700 when it first came out.
Yeah.
So Sony was out of their freaking mind with that. I mean, people were like, what?
I think it was only I think it was 600 for the big one. I thought I went and looked it up one day.
Yeah.
But the Wii, I remember as being the one where for like a year or two there, like they would they would come in and they would gone. You'd hear like, oh, Walmart's got them, and everybody would be like, I gotta play Wii Sports so bad. And I was just sitting there watching that going, really? All right. You know, I mean, I wasn't I was saying that from my lofty position of Jeff judgment. Meanwhile, I had a PlayStation 3 hooked up to a standard definition television. I didn't have any fucking games for it. So, you know, I don't know what I was on my high horse about. But, yeah, this seems like it's going to be, especially with the fact that the PlayStation 4 is releasing the week before Black Friday. And then, the Xbox One apparently is releasing at the end of November, like right before December. So it seems like they're really gearing the trying to get that Christmas season thing going, and I could see it being crazy, especially with the number of parents out there who probably, you know, just last week at Gamescom was when Sony announced the release date for the PlayStation 4, right? November 15th. So, yeah. I mean, I have to wonder, you know, we've got a bunch of hardcore people, a bunch of people like you or I, and, you know, gamers out there who have already, people who are putting down their pre-orders for PlayStation 4 before we even knew how much it was or when it was coming out. Right. I worry about these poor parents with the, you know, little fucking 12-year-old monster children that are just like, I want a PlayStation 4. And they're like, all right, well, let's go get you one. And then, you know, it's going to be like Cabbage Patch Kids, or, you know, would the Tickle Me Elmo would get people fighting in a store over 3 PlayStation 4s. I don't know. I would love to see that again, but just because it's been a while, especially with console launches, since we've seen that level of insanity over, you know, oh, I got to get it. Plus, it makes you feel all warm and fuzzy when you have it, and you know that there are other people out there just like, God damn it, I want one so bad, and I can't find one. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see whether that actually manages to take shape or not, but
I think it will a little bit. You know, the problem with all console launches that I remember in forever, basically, is that you get a pile of initial launch titles, and then there's a huge wait until you get something else.
Yeah,
often like almost a year that you got to wait for like something good to come out on the system. I want to see how it fares this time around, since we've got all this PC compatibility, and so, you know, maybe games will move faster over to these consoles. But, you know, if I always tell people, you know, if there's not a game that you want to play, don't buy it yet. Just wait until there's something that you want to play on it, then buy it. Because what are you going to do? You know, just play a sucky game,
right?
Spend all that money. It's not worth it. Plus, you know, you got those chances around, you know, the holidays and after, that you start giving out gift cards when you buy the console. And
oh, yeah.
Sony might give you PlayStation Plus memberships and everything. So,
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, if there wasn't a really good reason for me to have to get a PlayStation or an Xbox One, obviously. But if I was just, you know, being a person, there's definitely a part of me that is that, you know, I gotta have it. I gotta have it, Kevin. It's a new thing. Yeah. I gotta go out and I'm gonna pay whatever amount of money and wait in whatever line in order to get whatever this new thing is. But I've gotten burned enough times by that part of my brain that if it was me and I didn't have to do this for a living, I would probably be like, I'm gonna wait 8 months, and I'm happy. I'm happy with the performance of my PlayStation 3 and my Xbox 360 right now. Like, having those two consoles and a PC that can run most games that come out, or a fair amount of games that come out. Like, there's so much flexibility in what I can already do that there's Vita games and there's 3DS games. That new Mario and Luigi game came out for the 3DS. I even got it shipped to me, and I was like, I don't have time to play this. I don't even have time to keep this and play it because there's so much else coming out right now. I would probably wait. I mean, I was just looking at GameFly's.
I mean, you're a professional now, though. I mean, you have to buy it.
Yeah, it's true.
If you're gonna do what you're doing, you've got to be, you've got to have the latest, greatest.
Oh, wait, stop the presses, Kevin, because I just found the reason that you need to buy a PlayStation 4 here on the GameFly page for PlayStation 4. It's that Angry Birds Star Wars will be released for the PS4. I know that we've all been, we've been holding our breaths in anticipation for whether or not Angry fucking birds. I still can't believe Angry Birds is as big as it is.
It's $1 game. That's why it's big. It's $1. Nobody's going to buy a $500 or $400 console for $1 game. It's dumb. What did you hear about the PS3, the 12 gigabyte version? That's $200, $199.
I saw a really disgusting a picture of a blue PlayStation 3 that I assume that was. It's the one with the sliding top or whatever that they've been talking about for a while.
Yeah, I didn't see a picture of it. Yeah, I just heard about it. I mean, I like the price point. But I think that's kind of a sweet point right now as a $199.
I tell you, I mean,
12 gigs is a weird number.
We had said before, if you don't already have a PlayStation 3, if you were to buy a $200 PlayStation 3 and instead of buying any games, spend $50 on PlayStation Plus, you do a lot worse than that. Just download the free game they put out every month, and go with that. I played Bit Trip Runner 2 they put out on there. That game is super fun, and I didn't play it the first time it came out. I don't know if I would. I'm getting to this whole thing about the dollar value of games and what that means to individual people. I don't know how much I would pay for that, but as a free thing that you get,
measure it in prices of beer. That's what I think.
Number of beers per game.
Number of beers is it worth? Yeah.
Say is Killzone Shadowfall worth one Friday night worth of drinking, or a whole Friday and half a Saturday, depending on the bar that I end up going to?
Yeah, it's a tough call.
Yeah,
it depends on how good it is.
Well,
I don't know.
Speaking of releases, we've got some stuff here in the news from Gamescom, and we're not going to go over all of it because
what is Gamescom, Jeff?
Gamescom is a trade fair for video games held annually at the I'm gonna butcher every German word in here, folks. So you correct me all day long. I know that I'm fucking this up. This is the Cologne Mess in Cologne, Germany. But my favorite part of this is that we're going to read the Wikipedia article here. It is organized by Bundesverband Interaktive Unterhaltungssoftware, which in English is the Federal Association of Interactive Entertainment Software, which interestingly enough has fewer syllables than the three German words that it's connected to. But yeah, apparently kind of like PAX, it's a trade fair, so people can go there. I mean, like they said, and we were talking about this before the show.
Does it happen in Germany? I'm sorry. Does it happen in Germany? Is that where it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cologne, Germany.
Okay.
Yeah. 340,000 visitors, more than 6,000 journalists, and 635 exhibitors from 88 companies this year. And what we were saying before is that, personally, that sounds like hell. That sounds like, the hell is other people. That's 340,000 people that I'm going to have to fight to see games. And I'm not a patient man, Kevin. I want to see some shit. And the fact that journalists are outnumbered, what is that, 50-1 by visitors? It's 6 times 30. Yeah, 50-1 by visitors. So 50 just schmoes off the street per one journalist that's in there. Jesus. Well, we were at RTX. They had Assassin's Creed 4 set up there, right? And they were showing multiplayer. And there were people that would get in line to play that at the beginning of the day when the Austin Convention Hall opened, and they wouldn't even get up to the thing by the end of the day. It's been the entire day waiting in line to play Assassin's Creed 4 for 15 or 20 minutes, and they wouldn't even get to do it. And I'm like, that's so insane. And the fact that then you've got the guys over there with Hotline Miami 2 and Shadow Warrior and Luftrausers that were all, there was no line. You just walk right up and play it, or dive kick. Nobody just walk right up and play dive kick, and nobody gave a shit. So yeah, this is one of those things where it sounds pretty cool, but I don't know, man. I wouldn't want to try to cover it.
Do they still? I mean, I know they probably still have shows in Japan, but I never really hear about them anymore.
The TGS.
Yeah, Tokyo Game Show, but I think Nintendo used to have Space World or something, and then they stopped doing that. And I don't know,
they're just doing the Nintendo Direct stuff now, right? They don't even have an E3 conference this year.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't really heard anything out of any of it, so I don't know. I mean, maybe I don't follow it that closely. I think part of the problem is that there's so many American shows now. They all run sort of back to back, and whatever's shown there is shown here like pretty quick. I mean Penny Arcade Expo and Game Developers Conference and
DICE.
I mean, yeah, right. We just keep. There used to just be one called CES.
Yeah,
and that was it.
Yeah,
and now it's
I think CES still exists, right?
Yeah, but I don't think most of the time they show video games up there, except occasionally they've shown a new console off there.
I think it's weird. I think it's just become the sort of thing where it used to be that when I think it's just. I mean. Sorry, I'm totally, just total conjecture here, but as the channels for developers and manufacturers and game companies to talk directly to the consumer become easier with YouTube channels and their own websites and things like that, there's less need for them to gather all the press together with this big show and vie for the attention of the person who's writing in, Game Informer or whatever, because they don't have to do that. They could just, like Nintendo last year, they didn't have a conference. They just put out a video, and they were like, fuck it, we're not going to rent an auditorium and do all this bullshit. We're just going to have a 30-minute presentation where we just, we just tell you what the stuff is that you want to see, because there's no good reason to have to, when you can live stream something off your website that's just as much production value as setting up this giant presentation. Then you got stuff like the sound going out or a problem with switching over different people. You got to have a host and all this stuff. Because, you could just, film something 2 months before the show even happens and put it out and be like, yeah, whatever.
Look, I would rather go to CES than any of these other shows anyway, because the Adult Video News Awards go on at the exact same time as CES every year. So, if you get tired of looking at electronics, you just go over to the other convention hall and
it used to be
look at boobies. I don't know.
I heard that it used to be that if you bought a thing for CES, that would get you in over there too, right?
Yeah, it depends on where. Yeah, it depends on if they're both in the same convention center.
Right.
Because sometimes they've been on different floors, as far as I understand. You could just take an elevator up and. Hey,
it just seems. But I've seen some video of that shit, Kevin. That place, it's pretty gross. Like, I bet it smells really funky in there because it's nothing but porn stars and really smelly looking sweaty guys. Like, there's never been a point in the history of the United States where porno finally got. Like, oh shit, everybody, porno is finally classy. It's no, it's never classy. It's never been classy. It's never gonna be classy.
They can say the same thing about going down to a bunch of tech geeks in the lower rooms too. I mean, they'd be like, it stinks like BO in there. I mean, it can go either way. I know what you're saying though.
I'm thinking.
I think though that it's a fine fusion of technology and I don't know. Animalism? I have no idea what you want to call the other one.
Yeah,
complete craziness.
I don't know. Maybe if they bring it to Austin, Jason and I will go cover it or something.
You guys got the Game Developers Conference, right? So you already got kind of something going on.
GDC? That's not in Austin, is it?
Yeah,
that's in Vegas.
No, GDC's in Austin.
Is it?
Yeah,
Game Developers? No, it's San Francisco, man. Game Developers, San Francisco,
Game Developer. Oh, here it is. In October 2nd, 2012, Game Developers Conference to leave Austin. You know why? Because you guys never went.
Oh, shit. Well, shit.
Blame Corey.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway.
Given you guys a pass and gone over there and stuff, but no.
Well, there's one year where I tried to get into. I keep looking at stuff. When I was trying to figure out different ways to make things happen on the site, and they were like, "Oh, South by Southwest Interactive has this thing this year," and I would look over the South by Southwest Interactive schedule and go, "This is garbage. This is what you're showing is garbage, and what you've got is garbage." Or sometimes it's garbage, and sometimes it's more geared towards devs. It's not geared towards press or the big spectacle. Right. It's like, oh, we're giving a talk about AI routines in this new game, and it's like, I could go to that and I could watch it. And I'm sure it would be fascinating. It would give me probably next to zero actual content to put up. So.
Dude, I live in Cleveland. There's nothing. Nintendo offered to drive a van here once and let me in. I said no because it sounded kind of creepy. Like like
What?
pulling open a van door and then having me go into it. Yeah, they had some sort of interactive van that they would bring to me, and then I could sit in it and experience. I think it was Wii or something.
To your house.
Yeah,
Directly to Kevin's house.
Yes, yeah. And I was just like, no, thank you. And they were fairly aggressive. They called me numerous times to see if I would just do it. And I was like, no. And then I drove all the way to, what's that, south of Akron, Canton? Pretty far, just to see the Xbox the Xbox Connect before it was released for like all of 5 minutes. So I don't feel bad for you in your Southwest and your Game Developers Conference.
Well,
you have a city that has things happening.
True.
Cleveland, we still have Legos.
You know, like in Austin likes to pretend that things are happening, but the things that they get, it's kind of like, my sister and I were talking about this the other day about how we have an art museum here in Austin, the Blanton. Okay. I've been, when I was in school, I was doing the art thing in school. We went to the Blanton multiple times. It's garbage. It's just garbage museum. A garbage museum full of garbageness. I mean, there's so much modern art garbage in there, and it's like it's pretending. It's a really lovely building, and it's got some decent pieces, but it's nothing like you go to the Houston Art Museum or the Dallas Art Museum, it fucking blow you out of the water. Like
Cleveland Art Museum is actually one of the best art museums.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the one,
and it's actually free to get into, which is unusual.
I went to the one several years ago in Dayton. They were having a Rembrandt exhibit, and I went down there and I saw it, and it was like, this is awesome. This is great. Like, you got some Rembrandts here, but like, unless there's a show that's coming directly to the Blanton, it sucks. And that's kind of how I feel. Like, I don't like to sit around and just bash on Austin, but I feel like sometimes Austin, Jason and I talked about this one time, Austin gets a little bit of a big head about itself. Like, yes, we have this wonderful interactive blah, blah, blah. And I go, like, all right. I mean, maybe if they were to do like, that's why even RTX, like, I loved going to RTX and RTX was great, but like, think of the games that I just listed off that were at RTX. You had Dive Kick, you had Shadow Warrior, the fucking, Shadow Warrior remake. You had Hotline Miami 2, and there was a place there with the Oculus Rift. Like, there was no Activision or whatever. I guess Bungie was there with, or 505 was there with this Halo tournament, and stuff like that. But it's not like, I don't know. I'm still waiting for the day when there's something like an E3 or a Gamescom or something that comes down here where, for a few weeks, like, all the news from the game, or for a few days, all the news from the gaming industry is the shit they were announcing down in Austin at, it's fucking way too hot fest or whatever the fuck they call it when it comes down here. I want PAX South is what I want, because PAX has the clout to be able to bring developers in, and they have the name to be able to bring enough people in that they could actually get a lot of stuff that hadn't come out yet. Like, it would have been nice at RTX if there had been a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One type of thing where you could be like, oh, go play this or whatever. But anyway, let's talk about some of the stuff. We meandered on long enough. Let's talk about some of the stuff that was at Gamescom. And let's start with the most exciting story of all time. Kevin, are you ready? Are you sitting down?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Yes.
Don't fall out of your chair.
I don't stand while doing the show. I'd be tired.
The PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 3, and the Vita are getting Minecraft. Oh, what?
I just want to admit to everybody right now that I've never played Minecraft.
It was one of the things where it was at Microsoft's the Xbox One conference. They had this big thing where they were like, and Minecraft will also be on the Xbox One. And I'm like, okay, I understand now. Hell, we had a video on Sunday that was Jason and Allison playing Minecraft together. Like, I understand Minecraft. It's a great time waster. It's a fun game. They do updates for it, whatever. But, I mean, what? Minecraft on the XBLA, 8 million sales. And was it $15-20 a pop? Like, that's a shitload of money. It's money that other studios would just fucking kill for. Yeah. But I feel like it's the sort of thing now, it's starting to get to the point where it's like, it's kind of like Peggle or Bejeweled or something where you're like, well, of course it's on those consoles. It's on everything. It's Angry Birds. Yeah. It's everywhere.
Yes, right.
So,
you know what? My female friend has a son. He's about 6. And he's all over that game, plays it all the time. That's why I won't play it.
Oh, Kayla from Sparkle Fandango, like, she's a teacher, and she teaches, and her students totally into Minecraft. Like, they're all about Minecraft. And
I'm not playing with a bunch of kids.
Well, you don't have to. I mean, you build giant rock penises on your own, like Jason and I
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But I mean, it's surprisingly addictive, and once you get into it, you kind of learn what it's all about. It gives you a good reason to keep playing it. It's fine. It's a fun game. I'm not trying to knock it.
I've seen it. I mean,
But just the idea that this is some kind of big news story. It's like, I was more pissed off that what they said that Notch isn't making that 10X1C or whatever the other game that he was going to make that was like a space space exploration game, because I was really psyched for that.
Yeah, I'm more excited about hearing about new stuff. I mean, even if it's maybe a sequel or something, but telling me that you're going to port over Angry Birds or Minecraft or something, who cares?
Yeah.
The purpose in buying a new system is to play new stuff. I don't want to play the old stuff, or I'd keep the old system. So
you know what I will say though is that
just bitter and old.
I think Minecraft, though, would be an excellent, of those three systems that I just listed off, I think the Vita would be a great place to have Minecraft, because it would be, I don't feel like there's very many things for the Vita that you could just play forever. They're just time waster kind of games. I think that would be a really good thing to be able to just boot up on your Vita, because I've tried playing Minecraft on my phone, and one of the biggest problems is the control, because you're doing all that touchscreen virtual sticks junk, and that stuff has never felt very good to me. So I feel like it could be worth it on the Vita, but yeah. So anyway, let's move to a slightly newer story. This isn't a Gamescom story, but it is one that would give me an opportunity to bitch for 5 minutes. So, never pass up an opportunity to bitch for 5 minutes.
Hooray!
Yeah. So Kevin, have you heard that apparently in the on European PlayStations or something, the preload codes for Grand Theft Auto 5, they preloaded the data for Grand Theft Auto 5. You can't extract it, you can't install it or whatever, but that a bunch of hackers went in and pulled it off and dug through it and are now wandering around the internet posting spoilers and exact plot points and doing that thing that jerk-offs do when they get information, which is throwing it out there and spoiling the plot of the game for people. So,
what game?
Grand Theft Auto 5.
Ah, Jesus. I mean, you know what? I purposely am trying to avoid everything about that game because I want to enjoy it when it comes out.
Yeah.
And people do like to talk way too much about some stuff, and I literally just avoid it. I like to go in fresh whenever I play something and not be skewed, by other people's, like that kind of crap that you're talking about. That's bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's total garbage. And if you are one of those people, I understand. I mean, I was having this conversation we had this conversation before, and I got into it a little bit with people online talking about this stuff, about how I don't really want to know things, and people release information about stuff. I had somebody who inadvertently, in the comment section on one of our videos, spoiled something for me in Saints Row 4. They were like, ooh, I wonder how Jeff will feel when he finds out that X, Y, and Z happens. And it was like, well, I would have really liked to have experienced that without knowing specifically what it was. But this is kind of above and beyond. I know there's some people out there who can enjoy something regardless of whether it's spoiled or regardless of whether they have pre-information. But I swear to God, any of you motherfuckers get close to me with this bullshit, I will ban you. Buy IP forever. And if you're, I don't care if you're
gonna get banned. Look out.
I don't care if you're a donation or whatever. I will make it my life's goal to fucking get rid of you, because that's such a dick move. It's such a dick move to take away somebody's enjoyment by telling them something before it's time. And yeah, so those people who have done this, shame on you. You listeners, you're all better than that, and I expect you guys not to be engaging in this nonsense. If you want to go look it up, that's fine, but yeah, don't be doing it to other people, because that's horseshit.
Don't look it up. Just leave it alone.
Yeah.
Enjoy the game for what it is. You have more fun that way.
I was thinking,
unless we'll never be able to afford it, then feel free to.
Well, I was thinking about how I'm sure that people are I was thinking about how there are people that out there that I've talked to, even friends of mine, who want every little piece of information before something happens. And I kind of feel like if you could just wait for it, just let the anticipation build, you're going to have a better time, because it's going to be that much more exciting when you totally get around to it. Because if you already know what's going to happen ahead of time, it may still be enjoying to play. I mean, knowing something about the story of GTA 5 is not the same as playing GTA 5. There's still going to be enjoyment there. But when those two things happen together, that is something magical. So, yeah, just wait. All right, here's another story that I have from Gamescom, and that is that the PlayStation 4 is going to have Twitch integration, which I kind of already thought was a known thing, but apparently this is independent of the actual PlayStation 4 streaming software. You're going to be able to hit a button, share your stuff on Twitch TV, which actually got me thinking, Kevin, about whether this new generation of consoles is essentially just going to put me out of business, put Jason and I out of business. So if everybody in the world is able to do this shit, I guess it's going to have to be boy, I hope that we're actually as talented and funny as people say we are, because if anybody with a PlayStation 4 could just open up a Twitch channel and do this shit, we're going to have to.
Yeah, I think it takes a certain type of personality to do it. I mean, a lot of people can do it, but it's not necessarily going to be funny or entertaining. Especially because most of it'll be little kids doing it, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll have its own level of entertainment, and that'll be so bad that it'll be funny to watch. But no, I think you guys, you know.
I wonder if
you got an adult perspective. I mean, there's only so many people, you know, in that hovering in this age group that are doing that sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like everybody else has got
jobs and wives and children and shit.
Exactly, yes. And I'm in the same boat, man. I do the same thing, you know, and it's like the rest of the world is moving on. So, yeah, I think you guys are okay.
I don't know. Do you think this is going to catch on? I mean, it seems like both the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, like one of the big points that they seem to be pushing, it seems to be the sort of thing they've been pushing for a while, is this whole social gaming thing where I mean, like PlayStation has been pushing for a while. Xbox is pushing this a little bit. Like, if you could, it even had a little video from Gamescom with it. I think it was Kaz Hirai, might have been somebody else, like showing off the dashboard for the PlayStation 4. He was like, "Oh, here's PlayStation 4. Here's my friends. Here's my friend, and he's playing this game. I'm totally gonna pop open his game and watch him play this game for a while." So, and I'm curious, both to our listeners and to you, about like, does that hold any? Do you have any interest in doing that whatsoever, Kevin? Like, do you think that you would have, like, if your brother was over there playing Killzone, would you just be like, you know what? I think I got my McDonald's here. I think I'm just going to sit down and watch him play for 30 minutes while I eat my dinner or whatever. Do you have any interest in spectating other people watching or playing that stuff?
No.
I mean,
not at all.
I guess, like, there's part of me that, you know, I was watching some Dota and I was watching some Evo a few weeks ago, and I was watching, like, you know, the best people in the world playing these games. But when it comes to, I mean, like, people already get pissed off when they watch Jason and I play or Grant and I play when we don't know what to do and we're just stumbling around trying to figure out what the fuck we're supposed to be doing here, and we keep dying over and over again or whatever. Like, I can't imagine, and we seem to be pretty decent at this. I can't imagine, like, watching, you know, like, would you ever have it? I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out, is this really going to be a thing that happens where you're watching?
I don't think. I think, you know, people aren't going to. First of all, if you're playing a game, you're not going to want to use your bandwidth to start streaming up video of you playing in any kind of team game, because you're going to need it so you don't get fragged in the game.
Right.
I mean, so you'd be a fool to even turn that on inside a multiplayer game unless you're just spectating. And then, the other thing is, it's like, why? I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to do it. I don't know. And does it work with microphone? Can you? Or is it just streaming up raw video?
Well,
because YouTube snags the rights for those things like right away. Like, it's just like, that don't belong to you. Well, and the minute there's like music or something that's in there, they're going to be like, you're playing, Soundgarden. That's it. We're getting rid of this. It's banned. I don't know.
There's a couple things I saw in that Kaz Hirai video, or that may have been somebody else. I'm sorry, but in that video, and it showed him watching somebody else. Like, it was like watching the game, but in the upper right hand corner, they had the PlayStation camera. They had his face, and I would have to assume that you could be able to have some kind of overlay into the game. And I think that it's interesting that the reason that this news story is, I think the reason they're using Twitch and they're not using YouTube is because Twitch doesn't, at least as far as I know, please, somebody, for the love of God, correct me if I'm wrong, because if it is, I'm going to start doing it all the time. I don't believe that Twitch has any way for you to try to monetize. It's just a broadcast service. And you can sideload those videos to YouTube, and that's when YouTube will snag the rights for it. But that, I don't think there's any real way for you to make money on this stuff. I think it's just for the social aspect of it. but I don't know. I mean, even if you were seeing somebody's face, I guess it's the sort of thing where I don't know. I'm just really having a hard time. I tell you what, I'm gonna stop talking about this because we've already said what I'm gonna say over and over again. But what I really want to know is the people that are listening. I want to know from you guys in the comments down below. Like, do you have any real interest in watching? Maybe it's just going to be for people like, I totally want to watch fucking a celebrity. I want to watch Anne Hathaway is a big fan. Well, Aisha Taylor. I want to watch Aisha Tyler's Twitch stream of Killzone because she's a gamer. But
you know what the best way to think about it is that it's a lot like putting your photos up on like Facebook. Mm-hmm. Nobody's really looking through those. You know what I mean? You're just sticking them up
some
there.
People are. Creepy stalkers are there.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, people put up like thousands of pictures. Nobody's looking at all your kid pictures. Okay, we don't think your kid's that cute. But what they are is they're like an archive, and I could totally see myself like in a single player game. Just recording my entire game experience as an archive in the event that I ever ran into some issue where I was just like, I can't sneak past this part. And then I could show you where it is in the video, and you could look at it and go, dude, you got to go right, and then keep your head down, and then go this way. And then, okay, because I'm retarded. But I can see people,
for most people
doing that.
For most people with the games, I mean, like, I don't know. For you, for me, it seems like that would be so much more work than if you called me up and said, "Hey, I can't get past level 3 of Last of Us. Do you remember how you got past it?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I totally remember that. You just go hit the bell. Then you got to hit the bell first. And just make sure that you. Oh, okay, I didn't know that." Like rather than having to be like, "Here, let me edit this video down and send it to you," and then I got to wait for it to download. But oh yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to know if that shit is even remotely going to take off.
You know what it may happen is that it may just migrate into something else.
Yeah.
Like some technology will fuse with a game or something, and they'll come up with some way to use it, like in an interesting way. But
porno.
I don't think the way they've thought it through right at first. I don't even understand why they're doing it.
I mean, it's like they had that whole thing where they had the Facebook integration in consoles where it would totally spam your Twitter and Facebook every time you do something in a game. Everybody was like, how can I turn this off? How quickly can I delete this bullshit? Because nobody cares that you got to level 4 in Uncharted 2. Nobody cares. Like, honestly, they just don't give a shit. So,
plus, isn't that just going to like wreck the internet? If you've got like 10 million of these things on streaming video like all the time, setting it up to like YouTube or wherever the hell it's going to be hosted, and it's all just garbage. It's just the same freaking game. It's all, it's all going to be Killzone, like 70,000 hours of Killzone video. Maybe nobody's going to watch it.
Maybe it's going to wreck your internet, Kevin. But next year I get Google Fiber, so yeah. Which I think when Google Fiber happens, I'm going to totally put the Rage Select server just in my living room. And we're going to privately stream all the content off of that and just dump YouTube altogether. But anyway, but speaking of shit that I don't know if it's going to work, there was also this announcement that, much to the eternal chagrin of most of us, Elder Scrolls Online is actually going to have the balls to charge you $15 a month when it launches.
Nope, not playing it.
Not playing it? Was that
why? They're not gonna. That's not gonna be permanent. You might as well just wait.
They'll
work out all the bugs, and then it'll eventually be free to play.
How long do you think it's gonna be before it's free to play? 6 months. 6 months? Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, give or take.
I think that's. I understand that they started development on this before the MMO industry has kind of started crashing a little bit, and that they feel like they probably have to make their money back. But fuck, man. I mean, I don't know. Maybe if they sold it for like $30, or if the game itself was free to play, but it was $15 a month, and you had like a subscription where you had to lock in for a bunch of months or something ahead of time. But I just think the Elder Scrolls audience is the audience that plays like offline, and for the most part, and the people that play online are still out there playing their World of Warcrafts and everything else. And there's probably some crossover. That one dude out there doesn't have to write me and tell me I'm wrong. I don't care. But for the most part, the people that don't want to play online like to play the Elder Scrolls games. And the minute they try to move them to an MMORPG, I can't imagine it's like a single player experience. It's going to be like any other MMO. It's going to have massive time sinks
where you've got to go slay 500 wolves in order to get like a sock, as a reward. and people are just going to be like, this is awful. I don't want to play this. I got to group up with a bunch of people, and I don't want to be the healer and everything. And it's just, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It might be great, but look, I thought Star Wars: The Old Republic was really great. I thought they did a lot of first, single player stuff. But at the end of the day, it's that same tedious bullcrap where you got to kill 1,000 frogs to continue on in the game, and you break it down. It's all about them just time sinking you out so you don't get through all the content in half an hour.
Well, plus some people tend to disagree with me on this particular point, but one of the things that I really love about Bethesda games in general, and specifically Skyrim and Fallout, is that with most Bethesda games, if you work at it, you could pretty much become a god. You could break the game to the point where nothing can really dick with you. And right. I just can't see, like, they're going to have you, they can't let you be that powerful, because it doesn't honestly take that long in Skyrim to get to the point where you break the game. Like, it's hard for 4 hours, and then you figure out what combination of skills you need to do, and you get to the top of a tree, boom, you've broken the game. You've got, triple enchanting plus maxed out blacksmithing, and nothing in the game can hardly get through your armor anymore, and you're just like, fuck it, whatever. And they can't let you do that, because if they let you do that, then the game's not going to, it's not going to be a challenge anymore. I don't know. Yeah, it just seems like that the development focus for an MMO necessarily has to be different than the development focus for a single player game. And that's what's going to make the difference. And I don't know. I mean, maybe it'll be awesome. I would really like it to be awesome, because it's been a while since I found an MMO that I was into. I think, like you, Star Wars was the last one that I actually liked. Old Republic. I thought it was real fun.
Guild Wars 2, but there was no monthly fee with Guild Wars 2.
And Guild Wars 2, I don't know. Guild Wars 2 just seemed like to me, Guild Wars 2 seemed like a throwback. Like it was more old school RPG, but or MMO. And it didn't really do it for me very well. But I don't know. We'll see if that's going to happen. I honestly, do you want to put down a prediction? My predictions are always wrong, so I'm going to say this shit's going to fail, because I hope that it's great and awesome, and that I look like a fool. So yeah, this is going to be the biggest piece of shit game ever. I don't know. I think people would be more excited about the next regular single player game than they would be about this online game, because everybody I talk to. I do ask them all the time. You gonna play the Skyrim online and stuff, or whatever, Elder Scrolls Online, and they're all just like, I've heard about it. I don't know. I mean, it's if that's the kind of reaction, I just don't think it's going to do very well. Yeah,
I really don't.
Yeah,
I mean, initially, like all of these things, they'll talk about. I mean, Star Wars: The Old Republic had record-breaking, first month. They were super happy. They were going to release expansions. They had all this talk, and then, like, after the first month, people were like, "What's this on my credit card bill? Canceling this? I'm not paying this. Forget it." Yeah. And then they all scrambled to try to get people back. They were like, "Well, it's free. You can play till you're level 50, and then you gotta pay." And people, I'm not going back.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Well, they shouldn't charge the monthly fee. They just shouldn't do it.
I mean,
make money some other way.
That's part of this whole internet. I've been running the website. It's like you start to get some insight into what people will actually do and what people won't do. And you gotta, it seems like in this particular day and age, especially with gaming, you've got to make this shit as easy and as accessible as humanly possible. Any roadblocks that you put up in between people and getting to the game, you're just that much more likely that somebody's just gonna be like, yeah, fuck this. I'm gonna go play Angry Birds Star Wars. It's, it's easier than doing this bullshit.
People just don't like those recurring fees in general, I think. I mean, I don't think people like to see things appear especially that they're not using.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, after like a month, you're just like, it's just money wasted. You're just flushing it down the toilet. If you're going to charge some sort of fee because you got to pay for servers, I always say they should just sell time.
Yeah.
Just sell time that doesn't expire. You buy like a certain number of hours of gameplay and then just use it at your own leisure, and I guess they would go out of business with my plan, but that's...
but at least it'd be honest. It would be honest going out of business.
That's right.
All right, well, we got a couple more stories here, and then we're going to get a few emails. The first one, we've got three more here. Number 3 on the countdown, they announced an expansion for Diablo 3, Reaper of Souls. New character class, a Crusader, and a new level with this is okay. So Reaper of Souls centers around Malthael, the Angel of Death, who has seized control of the Black Soul Stone. Anyway, there's a really awesome trailer out there for it. That's like the opening cinematic. It looks really cool. Apparently, Kevin, it is just impossible to ever kill Diablo because whenever you kill him, he just turns into this rock, and then it's around until he becomes Diablo again, and then he's a rock again, and then he's back to Diablo, and he's a rock again. There's been some question about whether there's a large contingent of people on the internet who feel that Blizzard has terminally fucked up the Diablo franchise to the point where this is going to crash and burn because nobody's playing Diablo 3 anymore, and nobody likes Diablo, and Diablo is garbage, and blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I thought that Diablo, I wasn't looking for the same thing. Did you play Diablo 3?
No.
No? I wasn't looking.
No, I was tasked to play SpongeBob SquarePants or something.
Oh, right. I don't know. I thought that Diablo 3 was kind of fun for what it was. I think that there were a lot of people who just wanted it to be Diablo 2, and I understand that it definitely has problems. My whole thing with Diablo, though, is that I just wanted to play through the game, through the single-player campaign. I didn't need this robust multiplayer thing, so I don't know. Maybe they'll fix it, maybe they won't, but I am going to say that if you haven't watched the trailer, I get more excited about Blizzard's trailers than I do about their games anymore. I'm like, their trailers are so beautiful that I'm more interested in just going and checking out the stuff that they're showing instead of the actual gameplay itself. But I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that we'll be able to give it a look when it comes out. It looks like it could be pretty interesting. And then there's this whole new class, which, maybe it's just residual excitement for me from back in the old Diablo 2 days, but I always get excited. But
I don't see you too excited. I see you just frowning.
Yeah. Grumpy cat style. Just like, meh. I don't know, man. I've been, I got to tell you, apparently I'm the optimistic person or I'm a fool. Because last week we looked at Dive Kick and there was this response from people who they hate that game. And I don't understand why. I don't know. It just seemed like a kind of fun little game to me, but just like, this is the worst game I've ever seen. Anybody who said that, by the way, anybody who looked at Dive Kick and said, this is the worst game you've ever seen in your entire life, you need to play some more motherfucking video games. I've spent $60 on games that were broken. I spent $6 on games that were just flat out terrible, and $10 for just this little side game. I don't know. All right.
Get like a PlayStation emulator, then go back and play some PlayStation games. We'll understand why people spent the money they did on that crap.
Go play Battle Arena Toshinden and tell me how awesome it is. Or
that game was huge when it first came out.
I know. And when I first saw it, I was like, "Holy shit! Are you seeing this? This is the fucking future, bro." So okay, it was the other one. There's new Fable. There's new Fable game coming out. Fable Legends coming out for the Xbox One. That seems interesting, where you play as one of 4 preset characters. So unlike previous Fable games where you're able to make your class kind of from the ground up, here you play one of 4 different characters. But the most interesting thing about this is that it's geared for kind of like an online thing. They're doing a thing that I really dislike, where you got to have all 4 characters in the game. So if you're not playing with other people, they're controlled by the AI, which is always one of those things that makes me go, ugh, Christ. I hate it when the AI is controlling the character. But the twist on this one is that there's going to be a 5th person who will play your game who's playing the antagonist, who will spawn mobs and who will throw nasties in your way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't know. It's been a while since we've had that whole, Vampire the Masquerade tried to do that. There have been a few games that had the kind of the ability for one player to get in there and be kind of like the DM. And it's always been an interesting concept that I don't think I've ever seen actually executed very well. I don't know. Do you remember that? Do you remember that in that game, Kevin? They did it in
Which one?
Neverwinter Nights as well, where you have the person. You can have another player who essentially is the director, who's throwing out mobs and laying down loot and stuff kind of on the fly. to give you a challenge.
Nope.
No. I don't know. It sounds like the sort of thing they've tried it a few times in a few different games, and to my mind, it's never actually worked out very well because there's always been a learning curve with being that person. That they're either too good or the tools take so long to learn that it's not the sort of thing anybody can just drop into and understand. They said in this that you can use a controller or you can actually use smart glass. You can use like an iPad to be sitting there on the couch, which makes me wonder, can you have like, 2 or 3 people playing and then have the other person sitting on the other side of the couch with their iPad going, and you're like, stop it, Kevin. Jesus, you put fewer goblins in here, please. I am almost dead. They're just like, no, fuck you, man. I'm trying to kill you. Kind of makes you wonder also what the person who's playing that role gets outside of being a dick. Like, did they get XP to transfer back over to their character or what? But
the Fable titles have been trying to be innovative, but the last 2, I mean, the one was on Kinect only, right? And that was terrible. And then
I didn't even count that one.
Fable the Journey. And then I think the third one, if it was people liked it, then it was pretty unspoken of.
Well, it had a serious problem with the ending. Which it's been long enough that I'll talk in mild spoilery language about this. So yeah, if you haven't finished Fable 3, maybe jump ahead a little bit. But apparently there was like it would progress over time, and then apparently towards the end of the game, like if you'd been doing all of the great stuff that you were trying to make all the good guy decisions over the course of the game, like there was this turn at the end of the game where if you didn't have just like a massive amount of money to buy your way out of this situation that came up, you basically had to ruin the world because you were doing everything the good guy way. You hadn't built up enough of this clout or something to be. I didn't play it, but I heard about this where there's this turn at the end of the game where basically you have to fuck the entire world up hardcore in order to get the ending where the world isn't destroyed. And if you continue to be the good guy, then the world is just completely screwed at the end of the game. It was this real terrible turn that they had where people who had been trying to be a good guy throughout the game got to this point where just like, well, I'm fucked here. I have no good choice. I can either be a good guy and the world is destroyed, or I could be a shithead and the world goes, to hell. So I don't know. I've never played.
Don't people know we want good, happy, fun endings to our video games? Damn it! None of this Mass Effect stuff.
Yeah, that's all I wanted at the end of Mass Effect. Right? It was a giant pizza party with Shepard. They were just like, "Hooray! We beat the Reapers! Woo!" But oh no, it could be all realistic and shit. I don't know if every game ends the way that The Last of Us ended. I may have to stop playing video games, or I'll stop beating video games because to be like, Jesus, man, they're all downers now. Can I just go? That's why I like the end of Saints Row 4. It was, I'm not going to say it because I wouldn't do that, but it was nice. It was nice. But I like it at the end of a game. I like it at the end of a movie where the good guy wins and they ride off into the sunset with the girl, and the bad guy, you drop into a fire with a one-liner and everybody, say, oh, hey, woo. Like the end of Star Wars where they get medals and shit and all the guys are there and polish up C-3PO. I like that shit. So I'm not so jaded that I'm tired of happy endings in my video games anymore. I don't need everything to be dark and brooding. But speaking of dark and brooding, the last story that I've got here is about the Origin, EA's answer to Steam that's coming out. I actually bought that Humble Bundle that you told me about last week.
You're a smart man.
They added like 2 more games to it too, right in the middle of it. It was just like, fucking hey, man.
Great deal.
But apparently Origin, they've done something interesting, which is saying something. Origin will apparently now allow you to return a game within 24 hours of buying it for a full refund.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Or 7 days after the purchase without activation. So this is basically I assume that they're trying to just lure people over from Steam by saying like, hey, Steam won't give you this shit, but now if you buy a game and it turns out to be garbage, you could totally send it back. And I'm sure that they have. The article doesn't go to specifics, but I'm sure they have some stuff in there to keep people from just using it as like a rental service or trying to buy the same game and return it over and over again. But that's a real interesting thing. That's the first time that I think that I've ever seen a digital distribution platform give us I mean, hell, man, retail won't give you that nowadays. You open it up.
I mean, for you could totally, because you're just a machine, you could probably finish a whole game within 24 hours and totally get your money back.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, that's all about you, man.
Maybe, but I don't know. I think this is I hate to, Kevin, I hate to say good stuff about EA. I mean, we all love just talking a lot of shit about EA, and I don't like Origin as a platform. I think it's clunky and hard to use, and I don't really like it all that much, but I think this is a cool move, and I hope that more places get on board with this, because if we get this kind of feature parity across the board, it would allow us to, I think it will allow consumers to have some power that they have lost over the years, which is that...
Yeah, I mean, I totally paid, like I talk about more than once, I totally paid for, the heck is that, Game of Thrones game, and it didn't work on my computer.
Yeah.
And had I had Origins, I could have got my money back.
Well, that's the only thing, of course, is that right now, I think Origin is only for EA titles. But what I would like is if they could... I mean, if they were able to get this... If they were actually able to draw some of the market share off of Steam, it might get to the point where Steam's like, well, we have to do something similar at least to this, which, it's maybe about time for Steam to consider that, just as this sort of stuff. I mean, I guess that would give people a good reason to use that service. I mean, hell.
Yeah, or just have it make it, look, these are computer programs. They could totally make a progress meter. So if you've progressed past a certain point in the game, you officially now own the game. And if you haven't, I mean, I don't think it's fair if you've played the game for 20 hours and then, cashed it in and said, oh, I didn't really like it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they could totally make it, somewhat fair and give you a decent amount of gameplay time to decide if you want to keep it or not.
Is that like in the restaurant when somebody is unhappy with their food, but they've eaten like most of it?
Right.
They're like, this steak is terrible. And it's like, sir, you've eaten all of it. I want a refund. You're like, sir, you've eaten all the steak. But you know what? I actually think this would be an interesting thing if Sony and Microsoft started using this on their stores. This would be a great way to incentivize people to do the digital distribution instead of going to the brick and mortar stores, to transfer over to buying stuff directly through them, because they could say, hey, buy it online, and if you don't like it, you could totally return it in 24 hours. And it would give people a way to, it would truly incentivize, it would give people a reason to go do this shit. And I got to say from experience that once you get, an Origin or a Steam or any of these platforms, once you get a good, dozen games that you have invested in these services, you're kind of hooked. You're kind of in it. You don't want to say, well, I'm never going to use Steam again. What am I going to do, Kevin? Uninstall Steam and just throw away the 65 games that I have in my freaking Steam library?
Right. That's right.
I'm never going to use them again, motherfuckers. So, I don't know. I think this could be really cool, and I think that it's a smart move on EA's part. Much as, like I said, I hate to give them any credit for anything. So, all right, that's all the news I've got. Now, unfortunately, this week I have my email went out. My mail at Rage Select. It's funny how I spent all those weeks bitching and moaning and kvetching and telling people, oh, send me, if you send the email anywhere but mail at rageselect.com, I won't read it. And then this week, for some reason, I got a trouble ticket in with my service provider. I just stopped getting email. I didn't realize it for a little while. And then our podcast, because the podcast came out late last week, our podcast came out. Usually I get an influx of a bunch of emails. And I was like, I haven't gotten any emails today. I wonder what's going on here. So we're going to have to go back and read some older emails. But before we do that, I don't know about you, Kevin, but I could use just a quick little break here. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back, and we will read some of your questions. I'm almost out of coffee. Yeah, almost out of coffee. Got a little bit of I didn't get the giant coffee because we're recording this late, and when we record, like last week, we recorded like 10 o'clock at night my time or something like that, 11 your time.
Right.
And I got like the biggest coffee that Starbucks had, and I was up until 5 o'clock in the morning, just like, can't go to sleep. Can't go to sleep. So, all right. Well, we have some emails from the people, and before we start, like I said before, I just want to let everybody know that I had some problems with my email last week, so some of these might be some older questions, but I think that by the time this goes up, my email should be sorted out. So if you do want to email us, hit us up at mail@rageselect.com. That's mail@rageselect.com, and we will answer your questions. So I've only got 6 questions here, but I think there's some good ones. There are ones that if we end up with a double, sorry, but I think there's some of the ones that I cut out because of time or whatnot.
Wait, what's the email that people should write into?
mail@rageselect.com.
Yes.
Yeah.
People write in.
That's right.
Write in so there's more for Jeff to read.
Yeah. So I have to read every question.
Damn you.
I haven't had any pictures of balls in a while. That's the nice thing about having you on the show instead of Jason's. You don't tell people to email me they're nuts. Don't have to look at that shit. All right. So our first email here comes from the Lard Monkey. And the Lard Monkey says, "Hey guys, what's up? I go by the Lard Monkey on the site. Here's my question. The objectification of women in video games is a well-visited topic, but seldom have I heard anyone speak of the opposite phenomena. For the sake of true equality, do you think that the objectification of men in games, while not usually sexual in nature, is a topic worth examining? If the parade of interchangeable meathead drones that can only follow orders and fire weapons is an objectification, then I don't know what is. I'd love to hear your input on this. Thanks and best regards, the Lard Monkey." And he says, "P.S. How much of Metal Gear Solid 3 did Jeff play with Big Boss shirtless?" And the answer to that question is hardly at all, because there's a camo rating in that game, and when you take your shirt off, your camo rating goes way down. But I don't know. Kevin, what do you think about objectification of men in video games?
I just think all games should incorporate all stereotypes, period. We should just overdo it all the time, and that would make games more fun. I don't want them to be that realistic. I'd rather have it all be, just terrible in a way, but funny. I don't know.
Just all bad. Just all video games, all bad all the time.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to try and do something like The Last of Us, and you're going to put some effort into your story, and all that sort of thing, great. Then do it right, and don't screw it up. You're trying to make a movie like experience, but if you are doing something like Grand Theft Auto or something, I mean, just stereotype it up.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to play that. It's all about fantasy, and then I don't really want it to be all realistic, and I want to keep the PC out of my video games, to be perfectly honest with you. And if you get offended by a video game, you really got to go check yourself. I mean, you really got to just find something else to do with, because you're not getting it. I mean, that's
some of it though. I mean, I don't know. Like the way that the Lord Monkey here phrases this question, talking about he even says objectification of men in video games, while not usually sexual in nature. I think that the problem that you're getting into here is that the opposite side of that phenomena is an entirely different thing. Is it just straight up like objectification of a person in a video game is one thing. But I don't know. See, Allison and I, we did the review for the Dragon's Crown, right? You remember that game with the real big boob sorceress? And Allison's perspective on it was like, I'm not really offended that you've got a lady who's proportionally just broken with the giant boobs. She's like, I like boobs. Boobs are fine. The thing is that you don't have, if you are going for a parody here, then you need to have dudes with unrealistic packages on the other side of the equation, just giant crotched, men running around in the video games. And there's a difference. I guess what I'm getting at here for the Lard Monkey's sake is that there's a difference between sexual objectification and just straight up objectification. I don't think anybody in this world is really, well, I'm sure some people are offended by just straight objectification, but I don't know. I mean, I feel that most of the time when you're objectifying the male side of games, it's not because they're, the Chippendales dancers.
My experience with women is the fact that when a woman sees like another woman like that's all tarted up or whatever in anything, a movie, a game, or something, they're not really thinking about it like guys are thinking about it. Like guys, we're generally tuned into sex all the time, so we're just looking at them as enticing. Mm-hmm. Where women tend to be looking at them and thinking, I like her hair, I like the way her makeup is right there. They're totally in a different realm of thought process, and I don't think men get that a lot in a lot of cases. They're like, "Aren't you offended that she's all?" And then at that point, the woman starts to look at it more objectively and starts going, "Well, yeah, she's dressed like a slut or something." But for the most part, they don't. I just don't think, and maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's because they've been treated this way their whole lives and everything. But I just think women are more passive to this sort of thing than guys. If guys saw a bunch of dudes with giant packages walking around, be like, "I'm not playing this. Oh my God, putting this down. This is disgusting." And I don't think women would be that way. But then again, girls, a lot of times, there's girls that play games. Amanda, don't kill me. When you see me one day. But for the most part, they don't. And they're just not into it. Especially the games that boys are playing. The games they do play are, puzzle games.
It would also be maybe something. I guess there is a certain number there are games out there that have, dudes don't have shirts on running around, but that's just not really I don't know. Some of this also.
I don't think women sexualize like that.
Yeah.
Again, it's an enticing thing. Guys were easier. I think it sells for guys to see something like that. It's a natural instinct thing. We want to mate with everything, and women are not that. They're just not wired that way. That's all. I don't know. It's just a totally. They wear makeup. We don't. In real life, they dress all in outfits that show themselves off for the most part. Most of the time, guys don't, unless you're built like a brick shithouse.
Right.
It's just a cultural thing too. I don't know.
And maybe it's the sort of thing too where it's maybe it already exists, and that we just it's interesting you bringing that up. The difference between what men are attracted to and what women are attracted to is maybe it kind of already exists in a certain way that we're not, as a woman may look at Lara Croft and go, Jesus, I wish I was built like that. The guys are all drooling all over, blah, blah, blah. Maybe on the other side, men are going, you know what? I wish I was as charming and as personable as naked Nathan Drake with his cool hair and his half tucked in shirt. But I can work out for years and I will never be as good looking as Nathan Drake. And people be like, ladies, that Nathan Drake, he's so, blah, 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 blah. That, or maybe it's just the fact that I'm desensitized, that we're desensitized to good-looking, very much in shape protagonists in video games that we see him, and we're just like, whatever. But maybe women see him and they're attracted. I don't know.
It's like, look, women are read that 50 Shades of Grey,
right?
Okay, and guys are not going to read that book. We're not even interested in it. We don't even care. It's not for us. And it's kind of like Twilight and that kind of thing that a lot of girls are into, and when wives and things. And we're not into that either. There's different kinds of cultural porn for different, people. And guys are more into video games and women are more into 50 Shades of Grey. And I don't know. It's just, I don't think it matters is all I'm trying to come around to is I really don't think it matters. I think, showcasing abuse of women is bad. And I think that, having women not have games that are for them is bad. But I think at the same time, if you're making a game that's, like Gears of War, something that's very masculine, I just don't think it's that unusual to see something that's where a woman is, hot in the game, and it's just natural because it's aiming for guys, and I don't know. Whatever. If you're going to be a feminist and you're going to be angry about something, then go after pornography. Yeah. That's where it's all going down.
Dude, porno is mean these days. I've said this before, but goddamn, I look at some porno on the internet, and sometimes I'm looking at it, I'm just like, nobody seems like they're having a good time here. Like,
right.
This is just,
Yeah, it's bad, and that's really where, if you're going to focus on some inequality, start at the bottom.
And I was actually having a conversation with somebody this weekend about this whole question of gender politics in video games. And what I'm going to say is that I don't I feel like I've said this before. I'm just going to say it again because it's my firm and honest belief that this argument does not have to be subtractive. It can be additive. It doesn't have to be like we have to stop having games that have women that are dressed in provocative stuff. Like there's cinema, there's movies, there's books, there's music, there's all kinds of stuff that is geared towards that kind of exploitation stuff. I don't think you have to not have that, but I do think that there is apparently, from what I hear out on the internet and this whole kind of cultural thing, there is a giant hole there, no pun intended, waiting to be filled by video games that are more where a lot of your dude gamers are going to look at that game and go, no, I don't really have any interest in that. But that lady gamers might look at that and go, wow, that looks awesome. I totally want to play that. Like, it's got all these things that appeal directly to me. It's got a protagonist that I can relate to. It's got stuff that is titillating to me, that is geared for me as a woman instead of these dudes. And I think that you can have games in addition to what we already have that go after that demographic without necessarily, and I think that's where this argument a lot of time gets into a problem, is that people feel like it's either going to be the way it is now, or we're going to tear it all to the ground, and there's never going to be any games with, big, muscly bicep dudes and chicks in bikinis ever again. And I just don't think that it has to be either or. It can be both. So
yeah. I mean, the biggest market is still men. The men are still buying the majority of the games, and I think that money talks. But look, Facebook games probably, if you were to look at them, they're probably dominated by women. And so there is something going on there that there's a social aspect to those kinds of games. And I think somebody eventually is going to tap into it the right way, not with these horrible Facebook games, and then start, becoming a really rich company because they know how to appeal to women.
Yeah. And in fact, it's funny that and this is such a cliche, and I'm sorry if this comes off as a cliche, but most of the ladies that I know who played this past tense video games like 10 years ago when video games were out, or 5-10 years ago video games, I had a ton of female friends, and almost every one of them to a T was super into The Sims. They were crazy into The Sims, and for me personally, maybe this is exactly what we're talking about, because I would look at The Sims and go, I even tried playing The Sims and go, what the fuck are you guys even doing? You have brain damage. Like, this is why would I want to decorate an apartment and get a fucking job? So yeah, maybe just say, we need people you need developers out there who, if you do it and you do it right, just like Kevin said, you're going to be a rich fucking person. You're going to be super goddamn rich because your game is going to be incredibly, incredibly good selling. So yes. All right. Next question here is from our resident Photoshop man, Quick Kick. And he has a couple questions here. He says, hey, Ragecasters, I have 2 questions. You can pick one or answer both if you want to. The first one has already been answered. The second is, I know everyone can't wait for Assassin's Creed Black Flag to come out. What's the first crazy thing you're going to try to do when you get your hands on the game? Pick up some wenches, steal a ship and pick up some wenches? And no cop-out answers like, I'm going to go kill somebody, stay classy, Quick Kick. So
kill some pigs this time.
Kill some pigs. Jump from the top of a building and assassinate some pigs from way up high when nobody's looking. Get some bacon. I gotta say, the first thing that I will normally do in a game like this is I will run as fast as I can to the point where you get a boat, and then I will go out and I will use that boat to get another boat, and then I'll sell that other boat to upgrade my boat until the point where I'm super high level because I've got all these boats. And then I will start playing the game once I'm way overpowered. I don't know. Are you even excited for Assassin's Creed, Kevin?
No.
And this one doesn't seem to be sneaky. It's more.
Well, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I again, the sneaking games are not. I will play them. I mean, look, Last of Us played through. That's freaking almost all sneak. But for the most part, I don't really get that excited about it.
Are you going to play Splinter Cell?
Maybe.
Yeah. Did you play? I didn't even ask. I meant to ask you what you've been playing recently. Did you play Saints Row?
You know what? I'm still playing that last stream, that video game that I'm in, because I'm trying to find myself. So I've actually been spending a retarded amount of hours on that adventure game, construction set game that's out there.
Oh.
So that's actually been eating up the majority of my time at the moment.
Wow. Okay.
I know it's weird that with all these great games falling out of the sky that I'm playing that, but I want to find myself. I'm in the game, man. Come on.
They got me. I'm in Pirate 101.
Oh, really?
Yeah, our friend Bo, who works on that game, he got me in there. It's one of the NPCs in the game is named Professor Jeff something. So
excellent. Yeah.
And then
see, and don't you want to play that? Find yourself?
No.
Screenshot it?
I can.
My God.
I can find my.
You're immortalized now. You got to go find yourself.
Well, my friend Chuck Christ, he's been on a few of the shows with us over the years. He used to work over at SOE on Star Wars Galaxies, and there's like 4 of him in the game with different variations on his name in different places. Just because it was Star Wars Galaxies, and they had 10,000 subscribers, and nobody gave a shit. So they were just like, "We're gonna make this expansion. Do you want to be in it?" And they're like, "Yeah, put me in there." Like, "Well, I've already been in there 4 times." Like, "Yeah, we don't care. We need more names. You want to be in there?" "Yeah, okay."
I have a secret room. There's a statue of me. I'm an NPC. There's also all of the people from Video Game News Radio in the room, and there's paintings that have sayings that I put in, and I have pages of dialogue. It's crazy.
Damn.
I gotta find it.
Yeah, of course you have to. You have to find it and take some screenshots and put them up on the internet.
Yeah, it's very extensive. So I do have a bunch of games from GameFly. I have 4, and I gotta play them because I'm paying a stupid monthly fee for games I'm not playing right now. So I will. I gotta sit down.
Yeah, GameFly's been messing me up recently, man. Their Austin distribution center is something that's going on there because they're shipping me everything from Kansas. It used to be they'd ship it to me from Austin, and so I get it the day after it shipped, right? Because it was just driving across town. But now it's shipping from Kansas, so it takes 2 or 3 days for me to even get it. It's need to record. We got to record stuff. All right. Well, this next question is from Will, and Will says, "Hey, everybody, thanks for answering my question last episode. If you don't mind, I have another one." I don't know when that episode was that we answered your question, Will. This is about DLC. I feel that there are some games that give us 50% of the game and then pay $5 to $20 for an expansion pack. I guess the question I'm asking is DLC a cookout? I don't know what that means. For extending development on the game. Love what you guys are doing and keep the good work. Keep it classy, Will. It's funny. I don't know. Can you think of a good example of when it feels like a lot? I mean, maybe Mass Effect 3, all that day one DLC was actually, it wasn't crucial to the story, but it added so much to it, that you could kind of say
I like cooking out.
You like cookouts?
Yeah. Burgers and dogs, good time. I hear what you're saying. I think that's a little bit over. I don't think that happens that often. I think a lot of games are complete when they come out, and I think a lot of the DLC is just some content development. The thing is with game development that a lot of people should try and understand too is that because there's a lot of arguments that people they should put it all into the main game.
Right.
Is that content developers and your game engine developers are really very often 2 different things, and the content developers tend to have a lot more time on their hands while the programmers are trying to fix problems, and so they end up making extra content, and they probably make decisions to sell some of that and release it with the full game. And I don't know, I think that as long as the main quest narrative is complete, I'm okay with it. If there's a side story, I don't need it. I don't know. I don't need it to be there. It's cool if it is. I'd rather, I'm like everybody. I'd rather pay one price and get everything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not really that upset about it. But, they have to make that DLC enticing enough that I want to buy it. And a lot of times I don't.
I was actually reading some stuff about the BioShock DLC, the story DLC that they're putting out for it. And that I feel like there's been this. For DLC right now, it kind of seems like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Right. if you develop the DLC at the same time that you're developing the game and you release it on the first day that the game comes out, everybody's like, "Oh, well, this should have just totally been in the game." Whereas if you put all of your development resources into making the game and then after the game comes out, you start working on DLC, you might get into a situation where the game's been out for so long that nobody gives a shit about the DLC anymore. Everybody's moved on to other games, so who the fuck cares about your DLC? Unless it's something like Skyrim, where you've got a giant, DLC pack that's really going to change the game. I saw some people online that were bitching about they bought the season pass for BioShock Infinite when the game came out, and they're like, "Well, where the fuck is my DLC?" And it's like, okay, well, this really is a damned if you do, damned if you don't, because those guys intentionally didn't start working on the DLC until the game was out. And then everybody's just like, well, where the fuck, blah. Whereas if they had been working on it in tandem, everybody would have been like, well, this should have been in the game, and you guys are a bunch of shysters, selling blah, 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 kind of just terrible. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like, sometimes you'll like some stuff like Mass Effect 3. Mass Effect 3 was really egregious, in my opinion, because what they cut out of the game wasn't, it was one of those things where, technically it doesn't affect the story, but it added so much flavor-wise to the universe that it's hard for me to even imagine playing the game without it, because it was such it spiced up the world so much. So I don't know. I personally, my favorite, I don't know if we've ever even had this line of questioning, but my favorite DLC of all time was for Fallout 3. Because every DLC for Fallout 3 was really creative, and it added a lot to the game, and so I didn't mind spending $5 to $10 per DLC, and there were a lot of them too. There was the Pit and Operation Anchorage and Mothership Zeta, and like they were all really creative. Mass Effect 2 had some really awesome DLC that I didn't mind. I really don't mind paying extra for DLC as long as it adds. As long as I feel like it's adding a good chunk to the game. Whereas, like, I don't know, Kevin, have you ever bought any of those, like, here's a skin, or here's a weapon pack, or here...
No.
This gives you the one that gives you minus 30% damage, and you're just like, oh, fuck it, I don't give a shit about.
I mean, I go in, like, generally, I go in without purchasing anything that's added, because I want to review the game based on what they've sold initially, and I don't feel like if I unlock a bunch of stuff, that's necessarily fair to the review. But it's just, it's an interesting thing. I almost feel like The Walking Dead was a really interesting experiment that I think was very successful. This episodic content that was actually not like Half-Life 2 that takes 9 years to unfold. And I think that worked really well. And if games wanted to go in that direction where they had low price chapters and allowed me, I mean, there was a pretty big wait, and maybe they could speed it up a little bit, but I don't know, I like that, because if you don't like the game, well, then you only lost like $10 or whatever the heck it was,
right?
Versus buying a $60 game and then finding out it sucks. I don't know.
Yeah, it's still
releasing some of that DLC ahead of time or something. Like have a short mission. When Doom first came out, and a lot of the Apogee games that it was part of, the first level was always free. So you could get the game and you would play. And, when Doom was first released, I mean, that was the most cutting-edge game you could get. And that, they were basically like, sure, play the whole first level free. Well, but if you want to play, keep going, then you got to pay for it.
It was like the first act, right? It was like 6 or 7 levels or whatever.
Yeah, right, right. There was only 3 acts or something like that, and so you had to pay to unlock the rest of the game. I mean, it was a huge success, and I think that if you've got a competent game, you shouldn't be fearful of trying to do something like that. And I don't know, but I think a lot of times, there's people that look, Aliens Colonial Marine. They sold that stupid pack before the game even came out.
The season pass.
Yeah, the season pass, and they were like, I think you were supposed to get 4 expansions or of some sort for the game, and that was just trickery because the game was a lemon, and they probably knew before they even sold it. And so, there's dishonest companies, but I think when there's good companies that do it right, then I don't know. I don't think the model is bad.
Yeah.
I don't think DLC is a bad thing. It's just that there's a lot of companies taking advantage.
Yeah. I actually think that's an interesting point you bring up about the old Apogee stuff. Is I would love to. How interesting would it be if they just if you could just download BioShock Infinite and they were like, you get the first 3 levels, and then at that point it's like, oh, you want to keep playing this? $60.
I just think I really think that's the way to go.
I mean, it really.
But I think a lot of companies will go out of business.
Maybe.
Because they release garbage.
But I don't know. I feel like we're getting to the point where a lot of those companies are going out of business anyway. Where if you can't put out something that we've gotten to a point with social media and reviewing and, websites, word of mouth and that sort of thing, that it's hard to keep a stinker a secret for very long. especially after. And for whatever reason, like I don't know why people were so trusting beforehand, but after Aliens Colonial Marines, it seems like everybody's on their tiptoes about like, I don't know, maybe,
or do it like The Walking Dead. Again, because if you do the first chapter and then, you got time while you're working on the second one, people come back and they're all like, this part sucks. I mean, at least you get some active feedback,
right.
that you can make the next part a lot better or fix the problems with it, etc. And I think this model that we have today where they just dump the whole game on, that's such a risk. They're pouring millions of dollars into building these games, and, just like Aliens Colonial Marine, it turned out to be horrible.
Well, it's actually funny because I've been seeing, I've been keeping up. We do the indie games on Friday on Rage Select, and so I've been looking a lot at Steam, and what's on the indie channel on Steam. And it's funny because what I'm seeing now is more and more and more often the way that people are going with the Minecraft model now that Steam will let you do that on there, where you basically buy access to the in-development beta of the game. So, like, Sir, You Are Being Hunted, this $20 game about the robots hunting you, British robots hunting you in the countryside, came out last week, and it's Steam Early Access, where you buy it and you get it. The game isn't out yet; it's still in development, but they use that money and the feedback to continue making the game better until they get to a release. And we had like Mercenary Kings was a Kickstarter game that I contributed to, and it came out in a pre-release format where they're like, this game isn't done yet, but we want to give it to the people. We want to give people an incentive. I think it's a really interesting thing to consider in the video game industry of now having the thing where people who are willing to put down the money ahead of time, like a pre-order, get something back in return for that instead of just they're like, hey, guess what? You're a beta tester now. Like, you put down $20 for this game. Do you want to play it right now? Here it is. It's kind of broken, but you know that because it's not actually out yet. And it's an interesting way to keep people interested in playing the game. Like, I even today was close to buying this one game on Steam that's still in development, and I went over to the website and I was like, $9, man, it looks kind of cool. And there was even patch notes there where they were like, don't hit escape in the menu or it'll delete your save game. And I was like, oh, okay, this is like alpha level of game stuff. Yeah. But I mean, you've even seen like I don't know if you've seen Prison Architect. You seen that game?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah,
where they had
I haven't played it.
A trailer for that during the Steam summer sale, where in the trailer they actually were touting, and you'll get to see all these horrible bugs, such as guards have cat heads by accident. They showed they were actually even promoting the fact that as part of the experience of like, it almost seems like they want to bring people that much more into the game development experience that, we can all laugh and have a good time and be like, oh, this shit's totally broken. Well, maybe they'll get it better next week. I'll stop back next week and see if the game is fixed yet. Or stuff like Broforce, where they give you a free download and they're like, you should totally buy this. I think that's a really good way, and it's just like you said, it's a throwback to what they used to do of saying like, here's a thing, we all think it's great. If you think it's great, why wouldn't you want to put down $10 on it? Because it's not a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, I got two more questions here. One, and these are both kind of strange questions, but let's go with them anyway. This next one is from Valentine, I assume. Hello, Rage Select. My name is Valentine, and I just want to say that I'm loving the site and all of the videos you all post. My question is that with Jurassic Park 4 in the making, there will be some rising interest in the franchise, which might include another Jurassic Park game. The last one by Telltale, which I loved, was a story that's him, not me. I haven't played it. I don't know. Was a story that expanded the universe and showed that you don't have to follow the film storyline. Now, I want to know what you guys would like to see in a new Jurassic Park game to make it interesting and fun. Thanks for taking the time to read this, and I wish you all the best, Valentine. What do you think, Kevin? What do you want to see in your Jurassic Park game?
I don't know. Dinosaurs? Lots of killing?
Do you remember this? There was an old cartoon back in the old days where the dinosaurs had these helmets that let them talk and gave them consciousness. And they started strapping like a bunch of guns to them. And then people would ride them around and they would shoot those guns at the other dinosaurs. Like the villain was this.
Holy cow, that sounds ridiculous.
It was this evil T-Rex that had this helmet on that made him all smart and shit, but he was a T-Rex and it was like, shit, Dino Riders, see, Dino Riders, is that what it was called? Yeah, Dino Riders. And there was these lizard aliens, and there were these good guys, and it was like, yep, that's what I want to see out of the next Jurassic Park. I don't really even give much of a shit about Jurassic Park. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news to people who are super into Jurassic Park, but like I figured there's only so many stories you could do with a bunch of dinosaurs, fucking shit up. Like, I don't know. Maybe I want to see Jaegers from Pacific Rim fighting the Tyrannosaurus from Jurassic Park. That's what I want to see.
I mean, if they made a game where I was back in like the prehistoric days and I had to try and survive when dinosaurs were running around like a lot of those old like 60s movies were and stuff like that, that might be kind of interesting. Land of the Lost style or something, but yeah, just like I don't really want to play a game where I'm running around as a dinosaur. That's just really boring.
What about so here's I guess this is the real reason that I picked this was because it gives me about 10 minutes worth of bitching time. Kevin, did you ever play Jurassic Park Trespasser?
Oh, that's I go ahead.
Yeah. You guys, you need to look up Jurassic Park Trespasser. Jurassic Park Trespasser, Kevin, was my Aliens Colonial Marines. Like, they were making all of these stories about Jurassic Park Trespasser, and they made it sound like the best game ever. And the big thing was that you had this hand that you put out there, and you could move, you could pick stuff up, and you had these logic puzzles. And it was supposed to be this awesome. I mean, I took the day off work when it came out. I downloaded a beta copy that got leaked online because I was so excited. Minnie Driver apparently was like the voice of the woman in the game, and it was fucking terrible. It was nigh unplayable. I do remember though there was this really specific thing where you had to the character, there was no HUD in the game. And to find out how much life you had left, you had to look down at the character's boobs with the first person. And she had a tattoo of a heart on one of her boobs, and it would have more red in it if you were more alive. And as you got attacked, it would get less and less red. And my God, it just turned out to be I downloaded this beta, and it was terrible. And I was like, well, maybe when it comes out, it'll be better. And then I downloaded it when it came out. No, it was, oh God, it was so bad. It was so bad that it just kind of ruined my that was one of the first ones where all these magazines had talked about how cool it was. Then I made the mistake of getting tricked by Advent Rising. That was the second one that I got tricked by. That was no good. That Orson Scott Card game. Is it Orson Scott Card? So some science fiction writer who wrote this thing. It was supposed to be this really awesome thing. I think it was the GameStop's magazine. Game Informer had this big feature on it that just I was so excited for it. Then it came out and it was just like, so.
Yeah, if you get a chance, go to oldmanmurray.com or do a search for Old Man Murray Trespasser, and it'll come up. And it's the Chet and Eric way back in the day before they started working at Valve and creating Portal and Team Fortress and all that. That's their old website, and they wrote a whole big thing about it.
About Trespasser?
Yeah, it's really
cool.
cool.
God, that game. Get
an opportunity. Old Man Murray, great site. It's actually in Postal too. It's on all the computer screens.
Really?
Used to be an insider thing because it used to make fun of like John Romero and all this sort of stuff, and all these other game developers would laugh. And like I think Eric is in one of the Road Rash games.
Eric
like Road Rash
Wopal?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and he's so they ran this website for the longest time, and I don't know. They got reviews on there. It's still up. Chet still runs it somewhere on some computer he must have laying in a closet somewhere with clothes thrown on it or something. I have no idea, but it's still up. Yeah, 1998. That's how old that was.
Yowza. All right, and we got one more question here. This is from the Gambler of Fate, and this is less video game question and more, I don't know, you'll see. Hey guys, I'll keep it quick. What are some tips and tricks to offer to making a new podcast good and well structured? I think we actually already answered this one, but I don't know. Let's answer it again. Kevin, what do you think? Let's get some tricks for the people out there who want to make a podcast.
It takes practice. It takes a lot of time, and you got to do it like all the time. And you got to make sure you don't. Once you start skipping them, you'll never do them ever again. And you got to keep the show moving. Yep. And eventually you'll break habits of saying and like 1,000 times. But you got to kind of work on that stuff too. You got to just you got to make it so the show is entertaining and at the same time informative. It's a challenge. Audiences are very picky, but really the number one thing you have to do is just stick with it, because that's the hardest thing. Your life will get in the way, and unless you really make a commitment to do it, it's just hard.
Yeah, amen to that. This shit's my entire life. It's all I do anymore. When I'm not doing this, I'm out drinking or playing video games. But I'll say that it helps to have somebody. It helps to have somebody else to do it with. It helps to have somebody that you know. I'd say that when you're starting out, doing this, we do this over Skype. But I feel like if you're just starting out, it's probably going to be easier for you to do it in person. It's a lot. You get a lot of, kind of body language. You could tell when somebody wants to throw it over to you or whatever, and you get a better read on people. Like, it took us a while, back in the old days when, it took us a while to get used to Skype, where we were able to kind of jump in at the right times and jump out and make it a little bit more natural. I would also say that, what Kevin says, this is the advice that Kevin gave me a long time ago, is that, a lot of times if you sit down and you try to make a podcast and you're like, it's good, but it's not good enough. Yeah, no. Fuck that. Just put it up and keep putting it up and keep putting it up, putting it up and putting it up. Because the worst thing that you can do is sit there and mull over one podcast until it's perfect, because then you'll never put it up. Whereas what you should be doing is just going, because you will get better as time goes on.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You'll just learn. It takes time. Mm-hmm. It takes practice. It's fun, though. I mean, if you get into it and you do it right, it's fun. But don't expect that 3,000 people are going to listen to your show either. I mean, you're going to end up with 13 people, and 10 of them will be your friends. Yeah. I mean, it's going to take a long time to build an audience, and so a lot of people just don't have the staying power. Again, it's just, I've been doing it for 9 years now, and I don't know. It gets into your blood. You keep doing it. I mean, my friend Don, he does that crazy blog talk radio where he just calls it on his phone. Mm-hmm. He doesn't even get a computer. It's like free for 30 minutes, and every Tuesday he just does a show. I think he just reads the paper over the phone to do his show. And but he's been doing it now for like 6 years or something. Yeah. So, it gets into your blood. And
if you go back and you look at some of the early stuff that we did, it's obvious that we're way different now than we used to be. I mean, stuff got better and smoother over time. The other thing I would definitely say as an advice...
Wasn't even comfortable with that Nick guy. I'll get quiet.
I need to get him back on this show. I need to get back on next week. It's been a while since we've heard from young Nicholas.
Poor Nick.
But I can also say that I would highly, highly, highly suggest when you start out, don't spend a lot of money on equipment. Start with something cheap. Like we started with, when Jason and I first started doing the Let's Play videos, we had one Rock Band microphone that we had plugged in that was sitting between the two of us. We had to sit right next to each other. We're both talking into the same microphone.
But the microphone is key, though. Yes. I mean, as funny as it is, the Rock Band microphone works really well. Yeah. You really got to play with it, because there are a lot of microphones you might have a headset microphone or something, and all you're going to hear is nose air. Mm-hmm. Forget it. I can't even say. I'm trying to make nose noise.
Nose noise.
Jesus.
You mean this?
Yes. Sorry. Yes, exactly. And breathing too close or your microphone. I mean, and to be honest, Jeff has always been a real stickler about the background noises and everything, and Corey as well when we did it with him, because. Nick apparently lives next to a waterfall and a fire station, and constantly had tons of noise in the background. So
that's what I'll tell you. Like, this is just some brief insight. Some of you people who already know this, you already know this. But like, generally, the mics that I don't know what kind of mic you use, Kevin, but the ones that I use are built for live stage performances, and so the cardioid pattern, the amount of space in front of the microphone that picks up when you're talking, is very small. Like, my mouth is almost right up on my microphone the entire time. And part of that is the reason that my microphone doesn't pick up a lot of background noise is because of that. But what it also means is that if I get like over here, if I move away from my mic, you can hardly hear it at all. Now, you can buy like one condenser mic for people to sit around, and you can all talk in the condenser mic, and you might get a very good sound from the people off that, but you're also going to get more background noise from the room.
Yeah,
so
I have a condenser mic. I mean, I have a mix. I think a hardware mixing board, and my microphone wasn't cheap. You know, it's not like RCA jacks or anything or whatever. It's all but you know, that's what I do. You know, this is what you do. If you're just starting out, don't do that. Get a Rock Band microphone. But you know, be aware. Record yourself a few times and listen for what's wrong with it, and try and get just a decent microphone, and just have fun, and then you know, rock out. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? With that, I think we are done for today. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am down to, I don't have any more questions. So I'm hoping that my email is going to be fixed tomorrow. I'll put something up on my Facebook page and my Twitter if it's the next couple days, my email ain't done. Ain't done fixed, as they say down here. But in the meantime, you send your questions into mail@rageselect.com. That's mail@rageselect.com. And Kevin, I think that's all we got for this week. So next time
go to Indiegogo and help the Oton console, OTON on Indiegogo.
Oh, you pimp it out.
I think so. I think the guy wants $750,000, and he doesn't even have $1,000 raised yet.
First autonomous game console. Does that mean it plays itself, right?
That's right. It makes its own games. I don't know. I just throwing that out there. He's never going to make it.
What is the console? What is it?
The Oton? OTON.
No, what is it? What's different about it than everything else? Is it just another Android console, or?
Yeah, it's an Android console, but it also plays Linux. Mm-hmm. And the one thing I like about it has a built-in projector.
Oh,
so
cool.
you can just throw the games anywhere you want, you know, and play games on the wall or whatever the heck, and you don't need a TV. So that's kind of neat. But his big selling thing is that it makes its own games, which, I mean, come on.
It makes its own games?
Yeah, it's either BS or, it's going to make horrible games. And I tried talking to the guys, like, don't sell it on that. Sell it on the Linux and open source. That's cool. You can do Android, you can do Linux, you got the projector. I mean, it's fairly powerful. It's got a 4-core Tegra processor in it. It's small. But again, he's
$816 of a $750,000 goal.
Yeah. He has no PR. I told him, dude, you got to get PR. You can't just expect the 7 people on Facebook to help you find like people to go for it. But you know what? I'm not telling anybody to go out there and buy it, but definitely go to Indiegogo and just look at it, because it is kind of cool. I mean, it's cool looking, and the guy's trying. It's interesting. He did release a console that I want really badly, and I've tried to convince him to give me one, and he just basically says he doesn't have one anymore, which is the Evo. And I think he only made 5 of the damn thing.
Oh, shit.
So I'm trying to get one, but not so much.
That would be really nice to have a console that you could just plug in and project on any wall that you wanted to.
Yeah. And I mean, media too. I mean, it's Android, so you don't necessarily have to even play games. You could do all sorts of stuff, and the fact that you could throw it anywhere you want, it's cool. That's why I was into it. But yeah,
this is never going to make it.
He's got it. He tried to get it on Kickstarter, but Kickstarter actually has a bit more of a vetting process, and he needed to have a few things changed, and he just didn't do it. He just got too anxious. Mm-hmm. So he went with Indiegogo, and I think that's a big mistake. If you're going to get noticed, you got to be on Kickstarter.
Yeah, especially for video game stuff. Well, good luck to you, sir. I hope that your Oton becomes a thing, because I like procedurally generated games, and I like projectors, and I could use that for an NES emulator or something.
I agree. All right,
folks. Well, later on.
Yep.